Hello and welcome to episode 41 of the Insider's Guide to Project Cars 2, where today we are going to be taking a look at racing smart. And what I mean by this is being a bit more picky and a bit more tactical about when to fight and battle with other drivers and fight for those positions, and effectively trying to reduce the amount of time that you spend battling with someone else that could then cost you a position potentially later on in the long run. Now, generally what most drivers tend to do is fight and try to hold on to every single position that they could possibly hold on to, even when they have a much faster driver come up behind them and are trying to make an overtake. But what they end up doing is losing a ton of time because they're trying to defend from that faster driver who is inevitably going to get past them and pull away from them anyway. This is obviously going to depend on the racing situation that you're in. Obviously, if you're leading the race, then you'll want to obviously try and hold onto that lead, and it would probably be better to actually try and keep that faster driver behind you. Likewise, if it's towards the end of the race as well, you want to try and hold on to as many positions as you possibly can and try not to lose any positions in those dying moments. However, towards the start and the middle of the race, and if there's cars up in front of you that you are struggling to catch, it could be beneficial to let this faster driver through and then use them to your advantage to try and help close up the gap to those drivers that you are trying to chase down. Now, yes, you are going to lose a position to this faster driver if you let them through. However, you are now behind a faster driver. You can use them as a bit of reference, follow their lines, their braking points, where they're turning in, and try and improve your own lines around the circuit and try and get faster that way. Also, you'll be able to use their slipstream to your benefit as well to help try and pull you up to the faster guys in front. And once the faster driver does actually catch up to the people that you're trying to chase down, then they're going to start potentially battling, and depending on how hard that those two drivers or 3 or 4 drivers, however many more is in that pack, depending on how much they're actually fighting for position and moving around, they're obviously going to cost themselves time, which is going to allow you to close up to the back of them even more and put yourself in contention of potentially gaining more places and gaining that place back that you had previously just given up. So there's a little bit of tactics here in play, and obviously trying to let a faster guy through. If you're just there battling him and trying to defend from him every single corner, then you're going to lose an awful lot of time. And as I previously said, it depends on the racing situation. There's no point in giving up the position to that faster driver if it's like the last lap of the race. You might as well hold on to it and hold on to that position, especially when you know you're definitely not going to be able to catch the people up in front. And then also, obviously, if you're in the lead of the race or up in the podium position, you'll want to try and hold on to that position as well. Now let's flip this situation on its head and say that you are the faster driver trying to overtake somebody else. You want to pick your moments as to when you want to try and make an overtaking maneuver actually happen. If you're going very aggressive and trying to overtake into every single corner, that driver that you're trying to pass is then going to become very defensive. They're going to try and block you into every single corner, and ultimately that is going to lose you a lot of lap time to the cars around you. Either they're going to pull further away if they're up ahead of you, or if you've got fast guys coming up behind, they could close up to the rear of your car quicker and potentially put your position under threat as well. So you want to pick your moments, you want to pick your battles. You don't want to be sending the car up the inside of the guy in front of you when you're 3 to 4 car lengths back. The likelihood of you making contact with that driver, them not seeing it, the move coming and turning in on you, is going to be very high. You're risking damage, you're risking potentially being spun round and losing a lot of time that way. Only really go for an overtake when you've got a very good run on the car in front of you and you're within a couple of car lengths at most. Generally, when you're within the car length and you're right up on the rear bumper of the car in front, try and send an overtaking maneuver down the inside if you can potentially get your car there in the next corner that has a heavy braking zone. Try and set yourself up for these maneuvers a few corners beforehand if necessary, and try and get your car in the optimal position to make the overtaking happen, and happen within that corner. Get it done, dusted quickly, get in front of the other car, and then you can start focusing on pulling away. The more time that you spend battling, going side by side or having to take different lines and having a door slam shut on you, the more time that you're going to lose. Now with this comes the knowledge of knowing who is going to be the more dominant driver when coming into the corner, who has the right to the corner and can dictate the line that the two cars actually take. Understanding this can save you from a lot of contact with other drivers, as pulling out of an overtaking manoeuvre at the right time is obviously going to be much more beneficial than trying to stick with the overtaking manoeuvre and then having the door slam shut on you and you potentially spinning or incurring damage on the car, and likewise inflicting damage on the other person as well. If you make contact with someone else, then obviously there's a very high chance that you're going to annoy and frustrate the other driver. They're going to defend against you harder, or they're going to attack you harder if the contact resulted in you actually getting past. So here we have two cars. We've got car A and car B. Car A is ahead of car B, as you can see, and car B is trying to fight and get their way past as soon as they possibly can. Now, in this example here, you can see that car B has managed to get their front bumper alongside the rear bumper of car A. And at this point, car A still has the dominance over car B when going into the corner. They can quite easily shut the door on car B. They don't quite have enough of an overlap to warrant car A having to give up the corner and give racing room. So when you're in this situation as car B, understand that yes, although you do have the very tiniest, slightest little bit of overlap, there is quite a high chance that car A is just going to take the usual racing line and shut the door on you and prevent you from making that overtaking manoeuvre. In this example here, you can see that car B has got a little bit further alongside, and he's now actually got his front wheels alongside the rear wheels of car A, and this is basically where the dominance that car A previously had in terms of dictating who has the right to the corner is now actually level. It's equal ground. Car B has now earned their right to have racing room being given to them throughout the turn, and car A is going to have to give that. They're obviously going to have to adjust their line and give them the racing room on the inside or the outside, wherever car B is situated in terms of it, whichever way the corner is going. Now, this equal status to the corner obviously continues as car B continues to move further up alongside car A, so when they're obviously dead equal, both drivers are going to have to give each other racing room, and that goes all the way out to the point that car B gets their rear tyres in line with the front tyres of car A. Here it's still 50-50. Car B is obviously now ahead, but they still have to give the racing room to car A. Once car B has got their rear tyres alongside car A's front tyres, then this is where things to start switch around. It's still 50-50. The car B still has to give the racing room to car A, just like when car A was just ahead and basically in the same equal footing. Car B still has to give the racing room to car A in this situation. It's only once they move past here and car B starts to eke further ahead, so they're in a situation where their rear bumper is now alongside the front bumper of car A. That's when car B can then start to basically take the more dominant role in terms of dictating the line through the corner and can potentially obviously shut the door on car A. Now, obviously, this is going to be quite difficult to judge and read because you may not actually be able to see the other car alongside you. You may not be able to see your wing mirrors. You may not be able to look around the cockpit and get an understanding as to how far the cars are alongside each other or whether a car is clear. So whenever you are unsure that you are fully clear of the other car, just give racing room, just to play it safe, because there's nothing worse than trying to slam a door on someone and they don't read that, and then you get punted and spun round, the cars incur damage, and that just compromises your race. So whenever in doubt, give the racing room to the other driver. It's only kind of more at the advanced levels, or if you really trust the other driver that you are going toe-to-toe with and alongside, wheel-to-wheel, that's when you can start to play this whole kind of dominant role going through the corners. So take it cautious, take it fairly easy. If you know that you are within this certain window or have this certain dominance over the other driver, then obviously try and assert that a little bit to try and secure the position. But at the same time, if you are trying to make an overtaking maneuver and you don't get enough of an overlap, be prepared to back out of the corner and have to drop back slightly and tuck back in behind the car that you are trying to overtake. The less time that you actually spend alongside someone else, the less time that you are going to lose. There's going to be less compromisation of their line and having to readjust and take a different line. So the sooner you can get back to normal racing, whether it's actually making the overtaking maneuver happen or backing out of an overtaking maneuver, the sooner you can get back to racing, the sooner you can get back to your optimal lap times, and the sooner you can start closing down on other cars around you. So next time that you go into a race, whether it's against AI, whether it's in a public lobby, whether it's a sprint race or an endurance race, try and think about the racing situation a little bit more and what you can do on a more tactical and thoughtful level to get yourself the best result possible. It's not always necessarily fight for position all the time, try and get as many places as you possibly can. Sometimes it is beneficial to let someone go and try and keep with them and chase them down to the pack up ahead. Yes, you may lose a position here and there every now and then. You may not always get that position back that you have just let go, but it's going to make you a much better and much smarter and more thoughtful driver. Your racecraft is going to increase dramatically when you think about your maneuvers a little bit more rather than getting caught up in the heat of the moment. So that's going to conclude it for this episode. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. I'll try and get back to you as soon as I possibly can. If you enjoyed the video, have learned something new from it, smash that like button. If you have any critique, feel free to pop that down in the comment section below. But otherwise, consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I shall catch you again in the next episode. But in the meantime, have fun, stay safe, and take care.